Blame it on the economy, or the environment, or even ancient Mayan prophecy, but lately it seems we've gone all gloom and doom about the future. Of course, we're right to suspect life on a giant space rock might have a few bumps, but as a species at least, we're pretty likely to figure out how to survive the next 100,000 years. Modern humans first appeared around 200,000 years ago, but it wasn't until around 10,000 years ago that we settled down, started farming, and began a lifestyle that would lead to modern civilization. So it might seem like we've been around for a long time, but fossils suggest the average mammal species sticks around for 1,000,000 years or more. From this perspective, we've got a long future in front of us. So let's pick some conservative target, say 100,000 years. Supposing the average person nowadays lives to be around 80 years old, that's 1,250 human lifespans yet to be lived. Now the last 100,000 years were hardly easy. We survived famines, plagues, world-scale war, even an ice age. So it would make sense that in the next 100,000 years, we're likely to see some challenges that could wipe us out. The question is, should we be worried? Well, the most immediate threat we face is ourselves. We've always had destructive technology, but it's only recently that we've had the ability to take out a whole civilization. There's nukes, of course, chemical and biological weapons, and someday maybe even nanomachines or killer robots. But the good news is that we don't just live in a single civilization, but rather a bunch of connected ones. So if some of us lose control of our technology, it might suck for a while, but most of us would probably come out of it all right. Same goes for a killer virus. We've had 4 global pandemics in the last century alone, but even the worst of those killed less than 6% of us. It turns out extinction by disease is actually pretty rare in mammals. It happens, but usually only in small contained populations. A bigger problem might be climate change. Some estimates say if we keep burning all the fossil fuels we can find, global temperatures could rise by as much as 10 degrees. A change that big could displace millions of people and cause a lot of hardship, but as far as we know, it's not an existential threat. And besides, there's a lot we could do to prevent it. There's another kind of climate change, though, the kind that comes from billions of cubic meters of ash being spewed into the atmosphere. According to the geological record, supervolcanoes erupt every 50,000 years or so, shrouding the planet in darkness for as long as 5 years. No sunlight means no food, and the scale of death would likely be something human civilization has never experienced. But since we live just about everywhere it's possible to live on the planet, the odds are pretty good that more than a few of us would scrape by. The fossil record suggests our ancestors did just that around 70,000 years ago. There are, of course, a bunch of other natural threats we could worry about. Giant solar flares, nearby supernovas, gamma-ray bursts, but only one of them is common enough to merit losing much sleep over. In the next 100,000 years, the odds are better than not we'll face an asteroid capable of taking out a country at least the size of France. And there's a small but significant chance of it being large enough to send us the way of the dinosaurs. We're not likely to just sit back and wait for it, though. We may in fact already have the technology to avoid a collision. In any case, even though we face some big challenges, our overall prospects are pretty bright. Odds are we humans will be around for a long time to come.